You know, like you met 2001. Man, can you believe that?
I was 14 and he was 15. He had broken his leg playing soccer, and my sister was his chauffeur for I don't know how long, and she was a terrible host, and he was sitting in the living room with his crutches.
And there was one time in particular, I was just sitting on the couch, and then she saw me, and she was like, "Hey, you want some water?" I was like, "Yeah, I want like some water." She was like, "Okay, well, come on and get it, because I'm not going to bring it to you."
So I made him hop over to the kitchen from the living room. But I told him I wasn't going to give him any water until he ate a hot pepper, because my dad had a garden in the backyard.
So I took a bite out of that jalapeno. Man, it was the worst decision, but the best decision I ever made.
And then after that, we went to the same high school together. We went to Carter. I was a cheerleader. He was a football player.
Kept seeing her at school, so I went up there and started talking to her, then wrote letters, and more letters, and then we just kept talking. And then by December 21st is when I asked her out.
He asked me out before I left for Mexico, because we were going to Mexico for Christmas. And I said yes, but then I came back from Christmas break, and then I acted like I didn't even know who he was. And I didn't talk to him for a while, I think maybe like a week. And then we started talking again and exchanging letters, and now we have a notebook that we're gonna read after our wedding. And it was our notebook that we had like written letters back and forth to each other, and we would exchange at passing period.
And as long as we got to talking more, letters and letters, I was like, man, she's really starting to like this girl a lot. And she's always a very gorgeous girl. I mean, yeah, first impression was just like, she was gorgeous. And still is.
Then he would start walking me to class, and so then I was like, okay, well, maybe he's cute, maybe I like him. And I was only 14, so him asking me out was like kind of weird and scary. So that's when I came back from Mexico, it was just like, no, like I can't have a boyfriend, and it would be so bad. So, but I mean, now I'm like, we think about it and it's just funny because we were so young, but over time, I guess the letters were the ones that got me. I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend, so I was only able to see him during school time, or if we had like soccer games or football games that I got to go cheer at. But other than that, I mean, we would just sneak behind my dad's back all the time. My mom knew. My mom was an accomplice in all of it, and so did my sisters, but my dad did not know anything. Until probably I was about a senior, that he realized that Sebastian was always in the picture and the name was always coming up. So that's when he realized that Sebastian was really my boyfriend. But he never admitted to it until this time around 3 years ago, and now they're like best friends. It's kind of annoying, so. We dated for 4 years in high school, and then we both went our separate ways after I went to college and he went off to the Air Force. And then about 3 years ago, we ran into each other on 7th Street after a couple of drinks.
I saw her walking down the street actually on 7th Street, and I was like, wow, she's looking gorgeous as always. And I was like, I went up to her. I didn't know if she was in a relationship or anything. I just went up to talk to her as a friend, like, hey, how you doing? How you been? And after that, we started texting again and found out she was single, which made me very happy.
I think our first official date, we talked for about a month, and then I was like, well, no, I don't want to go to the movies. Like, how about we go watch a play in Dallas? So we went to the Mexican Culture Museum in Dallas, and we saw a play about undocumented families. And then we had dinner at Grimaldi's. And so that kind of was the thing that made me realize, like, okay, maybe this can go somewhere. And I had a really good time with him. And it was just because he was open to new things, and I wanted to try new things with him. And then him communicating with me, and then we started going to like the stockyards and just doing a bunch of stuff that he normally wasn't open to. And I think he was just kind of changing all of the things that he was doing before. And
look at us now, talking, texting, led us to being boyfriend, girlfriend, engaged. Now we're getting married.
I would always talk to my friend, and she's actually my maid of honor, and we would text and email like all day about what we did and what I didn't like about Sebastian and what I did like about Sebastian. And it was just, and she was always just so positive. She's like, well, he's changed a lot, and you guys, you're so happy when you talk about him. And I don't know, it just kind of progressed, and I guess you can say we fell back in love with each other. And people ask us all the time, but I can't tell you when it was that I knew. It was just one of those things that happened gradually and fast, and it just happened. And then we started hanging out with each other's families again, and just doing a bunch of stuff that we had done in high school. And it just seemed so natural for the both of us that I was happy. I didn't have to worry about what I was doing, what I wasn't doing. I was just happy to know that he was my boyfriend.
I say I lost her once, but I always think about it as my mom always said, let her go, and if she comes back, it was meant to be. And I believe it to this day. I mean, I truly love her. Like, she's the one for me, and she always has and always will be. So for a while, I had been ring shopping with my mom and my brother. So we finally picked it out, and then she asked me, hey, do you want to go to Mexico with me and my family? I was like, oh, great opportunity to do this.
I remember telling my mom and dad that Sebastian was coming with us, and my dad flipped out. My dad was like, what do you mean he's coming with us? He's just your boyfriend, and you don't bring boyfriends to like your grandparents' house for Christmas. And I really didn't care. I was like, well, Mom, he's coming with us. Like, sorry, like I already invited him, and he's actually gonna ride with us in the truck with Dad. And so my dad gave me a hard time for a little bit, and I remember when they were packing the truck, he just was not wanting Sebastian to help him. He didn't want Sebastian to do anything with him. And I remember watching it from the window, and my dad was just not, he didn't want him there. And I was like, Mom, Dad's being so rude to Sebastian, and he needs to stop.
And I remember her dad giving me the hardest time trying to help him out. He almost killed me, by the way, before we even left on our trip. We were tying down something on the back of his trailer, and he had this big old pole. He was tying something down so hard that the pole slipped, and that pole came flying right on my leg. The worst pain ever. I was like, oh, bro. Maybe I shouldn't go to this trip, but I was like, no, I have it. It's gonna be okay.
But we got to Mexico, and we stayed at my grandparents' house, and I always stay at my grandpa's house when we go to Mexico. And so I introduced him to everyone, and my grandpa strictly and specifically told me, this is where Sebastian will be staying, and you're staying in the room further down, and your cousin Fabiola is gonna stay with you. So they were making sure that we were in separate rooms the entire time that we were there.
And I first talked to her grandpa about it, and we talked for a while, and then of course he gave me his blessings. And then I talked to her dad, and I cannot tell you what I said to his dad, because it's just blank. Like, I was sweating, nervous. I thought he was gonna kill me out there. I was like, I'm not gonna come back from Mexico. I was like, so all I remember is just, I don't know what I told him, and he gave me a big handshake and a hug, and he said, yes, and you have my blessings. That's all I remember. And I was so relieved, because I was like, oh God, I'm gonna see my mom and everybody again, and because I really thought I was gonna die out there. And I knew for the longest she told me that she didn't want to get married on a holiday, and I tried my hardest to get everybody together, but it wasn't happening. So the day of Christmas Eve, they told me they were gonna have a dinner party at the end of everything. So I was like, I talked to her dad again and her grandpa, and I was like, can I do it this night? And he's like, yeah, you have our blessings, it's all right, you can do it that night.
We were about to have our family dinner, and they just grilled. It was like a carne asada, it wasn't anything major. And I was helping my tia heat up the tortillas, and everybody just has the music going, everybody's having a good time drinking, and Sebastian's with my cousin, with Aaron, and they're just kind of walking back and forth, bringing chairs and tables.
And then her cousin, which he helped me out a lot through this whole trip. His name is Adagui, and he's the best. Couldn't ask for a better person to help me out. And I gave him the signal. I was like, she turned the music off, and she was over there by the grill flipping tortillas with her Converse, and she was just looking all mighty fine. And I gave her cousin the look, and I was like, hey, it's time. We stopped the music and started recording.
And so I'm just heating tortillas, flipping them on the grill, and I don't even know how, but the music just turned off, and Sebastian grabbed me from where I was standing, and he brings me to the middle of the entire area where we're about to have dinner. And I was like, okay, like what are you doing? And then he gets down on one knee, and all I remember telling him is, no, not today, because I always said, please don't ever propose on Christmas or like a birthday or an anniversary, because I thought it was so cliche. And he was like, can you just listen to me, listen to what I'm gonna tell you? And I'm like, but don't do it today, please just wait until some other day, but not on Christmas.
And all I can remember is I grabbed her by the hand, got on my knee, and she was like, no, no, no. And I was like, it's gonna be okay, just listen to what I have to say. And I was sweating so bad. It was cold, freezing that night. And all I remember was sweating.
And I turned around and looked at my dad and looked at my grandma and my mom. My grandpa was already sleeping, but he had apparently gotten his permission and asked for my hand in marriage throughout the whole day when we were getting ready for the rosary. And he asked both my grandma and grandpa and my dad, because he knew how important it was to be able to have that with my grandpa.
Shaking, and I was like, and she said yes. That's all I remember, she said yes. And everybody was so happy. He was crying. I was like, oh, don't cry, please don't cry. And it was a great night. She said yes, and I'm alive.
Soccer and ESPN on Sunday mornings is the death of me. But I mean, other than that, he's just he's a really goofy guy. And I think everybody that knows him will agree that he can just kind of switch the mood in a room in a heartbeat. And that's something that I completely love and appreciate about him. So
she brightens up my day. I mean, but one thing that does annoy me, well, it did annoy me, is that she likes to plan and budget, and I was never like that. I hate planning, I hate budgeting, but I've seen that it's for the better, and that annoyance has gone away.
And something funny about him, I would definitely say his hair. He takes care of his hair like it is gold. And he has to have specific gel, and he has to go get his hair cut with the specific barber every Saturday afternoon or Friday afternoon. And if he misses his appointment, it's the end of the world. So I would definitely think that that's something that he takes a lot of pride in, is that hair, that comb over.
And defending my hair, I might take a little bit of time on my hair, but I'm still done before she's done getting ready. So the hair is not really a problem. didn't have nothing to say on me.